I just got a 911 alert from a friend of mine. She's like, Angie, listen, I got to be in the house for 3 weeks with my partner. What am I supposed to do? My first response was, you married her, love on her. Yeah, I do know that it's not that easy. I know when some of you all got married or even got committed, it says, till death do you part. Yeah, they didn't say anything about being quarantined together for potentially weeks at a time where you're both in each other's face. And yeah, I know that can be difficult. I know a lot of people out there going what they call stir crazy. I know it's happening for my single people too and the people with family. But right now, I'm going to focus on the couples because, yeah, that was the first question that was posed to me. I'm sure after you all see this, I'll get many more questions about how to handle things. Absolutely, I think we spend a lot of life in relationships with other people. It's in times like this that you realize how much we're really not intertwined the way we think we are. We live together. We love each other. We respect each other. We cook for each other. We kiss each other goodbye. We say hello. We text each other. But that one-on-one, 24/7, yeah, we haven't done that for a long time. Since back in the day when we was, didn't know too much about each other and could be up all night on the phone, chilling. You go to sleep with the phone, wake up, slobbing. You still there? Don't hang up. Yeah, some of you all might remember that. These are not those times. This is not your mama and daddy's relationship. These are times where there's so many other things that can come into play. And I do strongly believe that the more you get to know about somebody, the more challenging it is to like them. And so surely if you've been with your partner or your spouse for years, there are things that you come to accept about them, and you accepted them because you didn't have to be around them all the time. There are things that absolutely do irk you. You want to just strangle. And so this is a very trying time for a lot of those reasons. There are things that are going to happen. It could be behaviors. It could be the volume of their voice. It could be the tone in their voice. It could be the sarcasm in their voice. It could be their actions with regard to things that are happening around the house. It could be the way they speak on the telephone. It could be a number of things. But I need everybody to be clear that when you get two people together for any long period of time, it doesn't make a difference whether you're in love or not. There's going to be a tendency for somebody to irk somebody else. It really takes a very calm, a very subdued, near dead person to not be moved adversely when you're spending so much one-on-one time alone. And the only thing that we can really do to alleviate some of that is, one, I would challenge you all to get to know each other again. I have several books of questions. You can go online. There's many different questions and asking questions about each other. So versus you growing with what you know about the person and it being something that irks you, you can absolutely get to know them better by asking questions and spending some time in conversation about some of the discoveries you've made since you all have been a couple. The other thing I would strongly suggest is you not pointing out every single thing, or when I say pointing out, I mean anything. Sometimes we don't have to point it out. We can just roll our eyes, or my grandmother would call it stoopsing, make a little noise, that type of thing. It's not going to be beneficial to anybody for you to point out every single thing that gets on your nerve about your partner, or vice versa. That's absolutely going to be a little bit more irritating. Besides attempting to get to know one another, come up with some rules. Just like if you were to have kids and you would have rules, whether that be, okay, we're going to spend this kind of time alone. I see many people have put things up for people who have children. This is playtime, this is math time, yeah, we're going to need to do a little bit of that. Let me tell you why. Most of us are used to spending a certain amount of time away from our partners. We've even gotten more used to being around some of our coworkers than we have our partners. We also know some of the deficits and the shortcomings of our partner. And so it becomes a little bit more challenging. So when I say rules, I mean there needs to be some rules. It shouldn't be that if both of you being in the kitchen at one time is going to irritate one person, you lovingly make a decision or a rule to say only one of us is going to be at the kitchen at a time. Either we're gonna lovingly cook together, or you're gonna cook and I'm gonna be in here. Make plans, no matter how small the place is, to spend some time alone, and allowing yourself to do that without consequences. That's gonna be the key. I need you all to kind of lovingly give these things without consequences. It's not gonna be a good thing if, we say we have a rule to have, time separate, but whenever we come back together, now you got a whole attitude. Y'all know how this works. Be clear that if in fact you're going to separate, what brings you back together and what's going to have that be, whether that be the commonality of coming to have lunch or going on a walk, or calling the grandkids on the phone, or calling your parents, or whatever that looks like. And when I say plan, I mean literally be intentional about planning your time. The other thing that will absolutely come into play is our use of electronics. And I know you all think that's so 2000. I don't know what the word would be, but please know that when we are not with our partners, many of us spend a lot of time on social media, on the internet, in front of our computers. Many of us have learned to communicate better via text, so we'll come to find out that we thought our partner was completely open and communicative and all those kind of good things, only to find out, they're in the other room texting you like, hey, what's for dinner? When she right there, he right over there. Be clear that these things have happened, and I just want to encourage you all not to get instantly pissed off about those things happening. Many things have occurred in your life and your partner's life without your permission. Things have changed. Levels of consciousness have been raised. Knowledge has been increased. Some what would you call them? Bad behaviors have improved. Some new behaviors have set in. I would encourage you not to instantly think that this is not what you remember, or I can't stand this. Be clear that both of you have changed. And it's going to be important to acknowledge some of those changes, and that you attempt to mentally move, shift your mind and how you think about that, because that could make what might be 1 week, 2 week, 3 week, 4 weeks, and that could be a whole year. People are jokingly that, this is going to be a difficult time. And I see people talking about the weight gain. I see people talking about the kids and how you're adapting to kids. But some of the biggest thing is going to be how we as adults will relate to our partners, specifically our spouses, specifically up on this quarantine being elevated. It was not what we expected, but I absolutely would encourage us all to use it as an opportunity to disclose more about yourself, to get to know yourself better. I'm going to do a video on that, because there are many single people who cannot stand being alone or cannot stand being in the house for this longer period of time. And there's many things that can happen. I would encourage you all as a couple to come up with some rules. And you can just do one person do a rule, another person do a rule, and make those rules as specific as you can, and even have it be a consequence about if those rules aren't followed. We need to absolutely make sure that we're clear that there has been a lot of change that has happened without your permission, sometimes without your knowledge. So don't think, like, where did this come from? When did you start doing this? Those types of things, or even going at something, is not going to make that a good environment. And I encourage you again to spend some time disclosing for yourself what has changed, what you see different. Lighthearted questions. What do you love about me now versus then? Or try to stay away from that. What don't you like me? Because that's where we'll usually end up going. Don't do that. That's not going to be good. So making some rules, making them specific, putting a consequence to those, being clear about the electronics and how big social media and electronics and internet has become a part of our partner's life, again, with or without our permission. And we probably did not take notice to it being as huge as it is because we weren't around them 24/7. So it's going to be important if you take those types of things into consideration. Also, I want you to know that it doesn't have to be that a lot has to be said, and to be okay with some silence. So for you to go all day and not speak to each other, that's probably not a good thing. Or even for you to go all day and only say several words. Many of us have grown to a place of having what I call very functional robotic relationships, and we operate on business. So good morning, and then we talk about what needs to be done that day. We talk about what we're going to have for dinner. We talk about what happened at work. A lot of times we don't talk about our feelings. We don't talk about our emotions. We don't talk about what we think, what we feel, what we believe, all those types of things. And those things, when you're spending one-on-one time together all the time, can absolutely come up. So you'll then begin to know that what the heck do we have if we don't know each other, or what's been going on, or we've been living as roommates, and many people will find that that's what's been happening, that you've become so robotic, and the relationship has become so information driven. So everything is about passing of information, passing information on, making sure you have the correct information, not about getting to know, not about loving on, not about showing different types of respect, not about the love language, not about any of those things. And so it's going to be, I say a difficult, I'll say a challenging, but it's not impossible when you absolutely can turn something that could be difficult and challenging into something that could be very fruitful and very positive. And I would encourage you all to do just that. I just wanted to leave you a little bit of something, because again, I know some of these things are going to come up, and I'm hopeful this is helpful to my friend and to everybody. You all create an amazing day for yourself on purpose. We got this.